Let's see what happens. I promise YouTube, I'm not breaking no rules. So why is it red? Unsupported resolution once again. You need to change the video resolution. The current resolution is it's not supported. Nothing has changed. Let's try to refresh. Give me green. It's red. Incredible. Hi, mermaid. I don't know if we're going to be able to move forward with this live stream or not, because from my end, how y'all just come right on in from y'all bringing me to tears. Thank you for your support. But this is my stuff over here, red, talking about the health of the live stream is basically critical. And it just, technology. Or it could be YouTube don't want to give me the energy that I need for this live stream because of the words associated with the topic. Might be burning me or slowing me down. All looks good on this end. Okay, very good. Hey, Nancy, good day to you. How's Detroit? Cold. It went green. Thank y'all for y'all energy. Thank you. It went green because I was worried. But I was going to move forward because Mermaid said it looked good from y'all end. I just kind of want to wait a few minutes to see if any extra people come in so I can have a little discussion group. That'll be nice. So anything been going on for you ladies? I assume ladies or gentlemen. Completely clear. Okay, thank you. Hi, Alex. Oh, look. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, was it something I was going to say? Yeah, I guess I did want to make a little announcement. And the announcement is, as you know, I'm a tarot reader. But as you can see, I discuss many topics. I discuss topics, and I usually cross the metaphysics and the physical, or spirituality and physical. And I just don't want y'all to forget that I am a tarot reader. However, I personally don't believe that we can get down to the answers that we really want if we don't know where they stem from. So that's why I cover all of these topics, because everything that we are exposed to and experience affects and influences our personal lives. Y'all know I always say that. You're getting over the flu. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm happy to hear you're getting over it. LA is cold too. LA is cold. I'm excited to create beauty and problem solving this year. All right. You got some purpose. That's what I'm talking about. And so I just wanted to, apologize to some of the people that come and view me or may just stumble upon me and may be a little upset that I'm not just reading tarot cards. For me, I don't know about anybody else. The art of tarot has to do with the human condition, our psychology, our behaviors, our background, history, the reality that many of us can't see in this illusion we call life, and so I try to break things down so we can see clearly what's really going on. That way, when you watch my tarot readings, you can kind of fill in the story as it is relative to yourself. And not only that, you will have, I'm hoping that each of you are developing the skills of being a psychic yourself. And so I'm just really, kind of trying to train y'all the way I was trained in order to see. So hopefully it's working. And yeah, y'all hit the like button. Thank you. I love those thumbs up. They like hugs afterwards when I look at it. I was so excited the other day. I had 10 thumbs up. Who knew? Who knew? 10 thumbs. 10 thumbs. Could you imagine? Well, this evening, we're talking about the topic of how there are some people in this world that are exploiting diversity. And I believe that they are exploiting diversity in a plot to take over the world. But, I'll explain in the course of this live stream. I always say, I don't think this live stream going to be long. And this is no different. I don't think it's going to be long. I'm going to try to move forward and get it out of the way. If life permits, I do plan to offer the one card answer to any burning questions that you may have tomorrow evening. And it may be about 7 or 8. It depends on what's really going on in my environment if I have a moment of quiet. So y'all prepare any questions that you may have them ready for tomorrow. I'm going to go live at some point if life permits. And then I'm going to try to also tomorrow get more of the January tarot readings out for the signs that I haven't covered. The reason I have been really lackadaisical as far as the tarot readings is because my channel is, consistently falling off. When I say I'm plummeting down in subscribers, it's ridiculous. And I've heard of these complaints from other creators. So I don't think it's the people. I actually think it's YouTube and its algorithms and things like that. I also noticed videos that had a considerable amount of views at one time, and those numbers have diminished. It's all kind of things going on. So actually, I don't believe that I'll be around YouTube probably more than a year, because they just got me just dropping. So I'm gonna give you all I got while I'm here. So thank you all for your support. As mentioned, this live stream this evening is about how some people in this world are exploiting diversity. In what? A plot to take over the world or dominate the world. As you see, I have above the word diversity, total recall. And I'm going to begin to call the videos that I make dealing with like social issues total recall. The reason why I've chose that title to have as a series is because much of this stuff we know. Much of this stuff we learned in school. It just didn't make sense to us at such a young age. We didn't know how to like categorize it or how to use it. And so this series that has been going on, I'm just titling again, doing social topics, total recall, because it is my intention to have you remember what you learned, remember what you saw, so that you can come to understand some of the trickery that has taken place in this realm and why we're having the difficulties that we are having. Today, we're talking about diversity. So, diversity is a part of our social structure or our global structure. And I'm going to say, how can I break this down? So I want to talk about how diversity is dispensed, I'll say, in our world. And first thing I want to start and talk about, I want to start at the top. When I say I want to start at the top, I'm talking about the elite, the elitist. An elite are defined as a small group of powerful people who hold a disproportionate amount of wealth. It was political power, and so you got it somewhere else. It was wealth, political power, and something else, but we'll come back to that. Remember, we're talking about diversity and how it is organized in this world and its purpose. We're starting at the top with the elitist. I've already defined the elitist as a small group of powerful people who hold a disproportionate amount of wealth, in short. So, I'm going to share some information that I don't know is 100% true, but I believe it is so. So, first thing, talking about these elitists still, is that they possess approximately 90% of the harvested natural resources from this earth. They also possess the sum or accumulated knowledge acquired about the contents, function, and blending of Earth's and life's components. 3, these elitists have economic control. 4, these elitists have international ties. And 5, these elitists have population control. That's the elitists. And so, remember, we're talking about our worldly social structure and its diversity. And why are we looking at it? Because today, in this live stream, we're going to identify how diversity is being exploited for the purpose of some folks, the elitists, taking over the world. So on. I began to ask myself questions after I kind of researched the social status of the elitists. And the questions that began to come into my mind were, y'all feel free to answer these questions, and I'm going to give you the answer, you know that. So the first question is, how many continents are there in the world? Well, upon research and verification, there are 7 continents in the world, and they are Africa, Antarctica, Asia, Australia, and they got this slash here, something I never heard of in relationship to Australia. Oceania, never heard that, never knew that. But okay, onward, talking about the 7 continents. Why am I talking about the 7 continents? Because we're building upon what diversity is. On Europe, you knew about that? I never knew about that. Europe, North America, and South America. Now I was talking, so I'm going to recite that again. I'm answering the question, how many continents are there in the world? There are 7. It's Africa, Antarctica, Asia, Australia, Europe, North America, and South America. The next question that came to my mind was, well, then, how many nations are there in the world? And when I put nations, of course, I'm using Google as my source. If it ain't Google, it's www.dictionary.com. If it ain't that, it's Wikipedia. And I have a few other, citations throughout this research. So my next question was, so how many nations are there in the world? When I put nations, it put countries. What put countries? Google. So I went with it. And so it said, or responded, that there are 195 countries. 195 countries. We are talking about diversity today. And those 195 countries are composed of 193 countries, which are members of the United Nations. But then the other 2 the other two countries, are non-members of the United Nations. And they are merely observer states, and they are called the Holy See and the State of Palestine. Diversity. Another question came to my mind immediately, and the question was, how many people are estimated to exist in the world today? And of course, I Googled it, and I got an answer. What is it called? A census from 2017. In 2017, it was estimated that it's 7.53 billion with a B people in the world. So far, remember we're talking about diversity. We're talking about diversity for a reason, because I'm going somewhere with this. This subject of diversity, I will continue with in another live stream because I am going somewhere with it. But I'm basically laying down a foundation so that we can begin to see how the exploitation of diversity is allowing certain people in this world, just a few people, to have control. So far we know that it's this elitist class, and they represent a small group that has a lot of political influence, a lot of wealth, the majority of the wealth. And we've described in prior videos that wealth is the natural resources. So I move forward. Talking about diversity, we've discovered thus far there are 7 continents, there are 195 countries, and that as of 2017, there are estimated 7.53 billion with a B people in the world. Moving forward, the next question I posed was, how many races are there in the world? And Google again said, the world population can be divided into 4 major races, namely white, Caucasian, Mongoloid, Asian, Negroid, Black, and Austronoid. I didn't even know that existed. I guess Australianoid. I didn't even know that existed. So, if there, in 2017, there were 7.53 billion people on this planet, and they are clustered into 4 gross categories, all of those people. So my mind started asking more questions. And the next question was, well then, how many languages are there in the world? And Google responded and said there are approximately 6,500 languages spoken in the world as of today. Oh, okay. Next question, because you know I'm always asking questions. What are the 10 most spoken languages in the world? Because I was just curious. And Google replied, they are Chinese, Spanish, English, Hindi, Arabic, Portuguese, and I never heard this Bengala or something like that, Bengali, Bengali, on Russian, Japanese, and here's something else I never heard of. It's Punjab, or Lenada. These are the top 10 spoken languages in the world. Remember today we're talking about diversity, and I'm going somewhere, I'm building. I do have a message for tonight, but this topic of diversity will be carried on in another live stream. So of course, you know, I had more questions. The next question was, on an average, how many babies are born into the world every day? And of course, Google said, Google reported, I guess, on behalf of UNICEF, UNICEF, estimates that an average of 353,000 babies are born each day around the world. So you can kind of figure out the next question I asked. Well, I asked the question, on an average, how many people die worldwide every day? And I received a source. It was www.reference.com. And it shared that according to the World Health Organization, it suggested an average of 153,424 people die each day. So if there are 353,000 babies born each day, and only 153,402 people die every day, that suggests that every day we have a surplus of at least 200,000 people more every day. Okay, I'm going somewhere with this information. Many world leaders are a part of this group and make money when we have wars, kind of like kickbacks for military supplies. That sounds like something I've heard before. So, making sure I'm on the right page. Yep. So I wrote a note, and it says, since elitists possess a disproportionate amount of wealth, privilege, and political power, said Wikipedia, in this world and in this life, and the rest of humanity that is composed of 7.53 billion people fight over the remaining crumbs of life-sustaining resources. It is only rational that the masses be controlled. I don't know if I read that smoothly enough, but the note that I wrote to myself was that the elitists, I'll say hypothetically, they have possession of 90% of all the harvested natural resources in the world. The natural resources are what sustains our lives and allows us to have the ability to technologically advance. They have it. They own it. While the rest of humanity, the 7.53 billion people, share the other 10% of the natural resources, the natural life-sustaining resources on this earth. So the people do what? Humanity fights over these little crumbs. The elitists know this. And so it is their primary intent to do what? Control the masses. Overpopulation, when I was reading these numbers, it does sound like it. But I don't think so. Because when you really look at this earth and the distribution of people versus the land, many of us are crammed into spaces, and other spaces are completely uncultivated. So I'm not sure about that. So going on, it means, so the next thing I explored were the means of social control, because that's what the elitists must do. And how do they, what's one of the ways that they control humanity. One, separation. And the separation is done in different ways. So we're going to explore some of the ways that the elitists have determined would be appropriate and fitting to cause separation amongst those in humanity. So the first question I asked after I realized that they had to practice population control is, how do they control the masses? The answer I got based on my research was separation or diversity. And once I started thinking on the lines of diversity, I was asking myself, how have they caused separation, they, the elitists, in which way? And the first thing that came to my mind was, how many religions are there in the world today? So, I Googled that. And Google says, according to some estimates, there are roughly 4,200 religions in the world, out of which Christianity is the world's largest religion, which is followed by Islam. Now, that's really important that there are 4,200 religions, because religion lines up with or corresponds with, in astrology, the ninth house of Sagittarius. And the ninth house of Sagittarius deals with philosophy, beliefs, and philosophy, beliefs, viewpoints, and worldviews. Philosophies or doctrines, digested by any individual, govern the way they think. I'm trying to just read, y'all. And therefore, the way they act. That is to say, what one will do or what will not do. What one will not do. Or what they will support or they will not support. With that being said, that shows us or reveals to us that religion is a great source to implement and maintain separation within humanity. And we know this. Why? Because there's not one religion. No. There are 4,200 religions worldwide. Diversity. The next way that the elitists are able to execute separation is separation by economics or finances. Now, in our world today, economics or finances, the differences in earnings are disproportionate, fragmented, and some absolutely unreasonable. At this time, I just kind of want to cite the income of the various incomes that people live on. An example, I went to the federal place that talks about the poverty level, and it was saying that in order to be at the poverty level, considered at the poverty level, a one-person household would only make $12,000. A family of four makes about $24,000. Now, those are the people that are living at poverty level. These are the people that represent the working poor class. The next thing I looked at was the middle class's income bracket. For a one-person household, Middle class make about $42,000 a year. A family of four, about $125,000 a year. It's a big difference having a family of four, having and being able to take and having to take care of them with $24,000 than it is having to take care of a family of four with $125,000. It's a difference. It's disproportionate, fragmented, and unreasonable. But I didn't stop there. I looked at the rich, and www.money.usnews.com said those who earn more than $350,000 are considered rich. That quote, I personally believe, relates to a one person household because they didn't give a range. So I am going to take a leap of faith and say that a one person household that earns $350,000 a year is considered rich. Again, we are talking about diversity, and diversity is separation. And I'm talking about how humanity has been forced into separation by what? Their beliefs and philosophies and worldviews. Many of those beliefs, philosophies, and worldviews are indoctrinated through religious affiliations. The next thing we're talking about, or the current thing we're talking about, is earnings or the economy or finances. And we have now identified that there are financial differences that also cause separation. We have people living at or below the poverty level. That means that that person in a single family home is only making $12,000, where their counterpart, a single person, single family home, is making $350,000 a year. It is disproportionate, fragmented, and unreasonable, and leads to separation through finances. Let's see. Oh, and I wanted to just state right here, and Jordan, there are complaints, and we've been talking about it, about supplemental services, such as, again, we talked about it the other day, welfare and food stamps and WIC and HUD and whatever else, Medicare or Medicaid, whatever it's called. It's complaints. Why are there complaints? When we have some people living at the poverty level, working 40 plus hours a week, but yet at the end of the year, their earnings don't even exceed $12,000. While others that don't usually work any harder are making $350,000 a year. But the cost of living is the same for both families. Interesting. Another thing that I wanted to talk about relative to there being financial differences that cause separation in humanity and in our societies and in our communities is that, to me, there seems to be a correlation between those that I'll say are rich relative to a lack of empathy or compassion. And this lack of empathy or compassion to those that earn less, that may have to request some type of supplemental services, I do personally believe it has to do with those people's egos or their misconception about people living at or below the poverty level. I'm trying to move on, y'all. And I'm about to try to make it make sense. As I talk, it's not coming out how I had it in my mind, but I'm going to just keep trudging along. So the elitists, no, they understood, they always have, that you have to use what you got to get what you want. Y'all know where that come from? Use what you got to get what you want. So, what do the elitists want? They want control. Control of who? Control of the masses. Why? Because they know that the masses are fighting over those natural resources, those crumbs, that 10% of the world's harvested life-sustaining natural resources. They know. They also know that they have approximately 90% of the harvested life-sustaining natural resources. And they know that they must control the masses. So they got to use what they got to get what they want. So what do the elitists have that they can use to get control? Well, the song, no, it's called The Players Club. It was a movie with Barney Mac, Players Club. But it might be. So, talking about the elitists want control of the masses. So they use the givens, Givens, the givens, the given. So they use the givens. And what are the givens? Well, the givens are like the aforementioned geographic classifications. What am I talking about? I'm saying that the elitists use race or nationality, which is the skin color. The elitists use continental distribution, your birthplace. The elitists use language. The elitists use religion, beliefs, and philosophies and worldviews to do what? To forge and sustain separation or diversity in within the population. And finally, the elitists use economic division. So now, right now, I want to focus on just economic division. So I'm going right back to economics. Why am I going back to economics? It's because I want to cover the subdivisions associated with economic division. And I'm doing so because it sheds light on the depth of division. Nevertheless, keep in mind that all means used to support division or separation also have numerous subcategories. I don't know if I made that make sense. So far, I've talked about how there are some natural differences that exist, certain things we can't help. And they are their race or nationality, our skin color. It is the continental distribution, our place of our birth, our learned language, or our religious beliefs based on where we're born and what family we're born into. And like the casting system, the economic division. These are These are ways that the elitists are able to, how to say, remember, the elitists use what they have, and what they have are guaranteed differences, such as skin color, nationality, location. Those are givens. So they have that. And they use that to get what they want. And what they want is to control the masses. They must, in order to maintain their control. Religion is illusion. Spirituality is the truth. I believe that too, Jordan. So now, what I was going to say is all of these differences are like major categories. Each of these major categories have subcategories. And so I'm going to look at just one of the major categories, and that major category is economic division. I want to look closely at economic division in order to show some of its subcategories that make separation or diversity more widespread or in depth than we think. So, going into economic division and its impact. What does it impact? Well, how about housing? Think about it. Going back to those people, let's go with the four-family household with a capped income, of $24,000 a year, versus a four-family household with an income cap of $125,000 a year. That economic diversity has subcategories. We're going into the subcategories. How does economic division, or what else does economic division touch? I'll say it like that. And so I'm talking about housing. Think about the two families. Depending on how much a person earns, determines or could possibly have a strong impact upon where they live or how they live. And that's where we get the rise of places that we consider the ghetto versus the suburban life. And how relative to housing, that's where we get, sometimes it comes from this economic diversity, where we get renters versus house or homeowners. Going on, talking about economic division. The dog barking. I hear noise. Give me a minute. I'll move on until I get some auto clarity, clear audio. This dog. I can tell them I'm going live, and they just don't care. Still talking about economic division and what it has an impact on, or subcategories, the aspects of life that it touches, some of the aspects. The next one is health. Think of those two families, the four household families. The one making $24,000 versus the one making $125,000 a year. Health. Based on your economic level, determines if you die or if you are offered life-sustaining procedures. I know this well. Why is everybody so loud? Hold on, y'all, because I hear loudness, and I don't like loudness. Can y'all be quiet? Can y'all be quiet? I am live. Who is that? Okay, well, y'all quiet. I'm live, quiet, making all that noise, getting on my nerves. Can't have a moment. Got my butt all in the camera. They just get on my. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all might as well just come on over my house, cause don't nobody care about me and what I want. So I'm gonna try to finish, y'all. Thank you for being patient. Y'all over my house now, so so back to the subcategories that economic division has an impact upon. Why are we looking at these subdivisions of economic division? Is to understand the depth in which diversity extends. Understanding this should allow us to see clearer about how elitists are using diversity in order to control humanity, and how that division, sustained division, is leading to they done threw me off again, hot dang it. Don't laugh at me, Jordan. So you know what's to happen? Oh, I forget what I was gonna say. What's to happen with my family is I've been doing YouTube for a while now, and everybody they got comfortable. You see what I'm saying? They done zipped their pants. They got real comfortable. They feel like y'all family, and we have that kind of home where people come. They come, and so they're used to people just being here and family and friends, and they never stop. They never stop. And so now y'all just here too. Y'all just here too. Ain't that something? Y'all just here too. So that's what's happening. They just get comfortable. That's what you seen them popping up on my live stream yesterday. They don't care no more. I told them I want to be professional. They won't allow me to be anymore. So, okay. Now we're all just one big happy family. So, see, I knew I was going to forget what I had to say. So this diversity, what is going on? Because what I was about to say is a clue into what the next live stream relative to, what was the name of this thing? Exploiting diversity, how it's having an impact upon humanity's ability to work together, to negotiate, those kind of things. Thanks for having me. You're absolutely welcome. You're absolutely welcome. Because I'll tell you, go get your own drink of water. It'd be too many people. No, go ahead, go get your own drink of water. So, and so this, gosh dang it, when they take my thoughts, they take my thoughts. This, let me see what I wrote. They're just getting on my nerves. This exploitation of diversity. What am I saying? The elitists are exploiting diversity in order to manipulate humanity into not having the ability to negotiate and to work together. Their exploitation of diversity allows them to keep the people of humanity at odds with one another. And so before I move to create the next live stream, talking about the actual disagreements we have, I wanted to point out what diversity is. At least that's what I was trying to do. Hey, Zip. And how some diversity is natural. And even though it's natural, they use it to their benefit. They realize that differences, diversity, was useful. And so they expanded upon it, making these subcategories that I'm speaking of. So, subcategories we've covered so far, relative to economic division, housing, and how it has an impact. Health, I was on health. And I was talking about how based on your economic status determines if you will receive the health care that you need or not. It determines if you will face death or if you will have be offered life-sustaining procedures. Again, everything that I know about personally. Still talking about health and how economic division has an impact upon society, dietary habits. There's always this criticism about obesity, or this debate, I'll say, about obesity versus being fit. Well, a person's, health status, health status, is it health? Physical status has a lot to do with their financial level. Anyway, I say I got thrown off. The next thing I want to talk about quickly is how economic division plays out in education. Based on one's economic position, it determines the format of the curriculum that they are exposed to, as the curriculum determines the extent of the worldly exposure a student will have. I don't know if I said that right or not. Depends on what school you go to, what the curriculum is, and the more you pay, or the better neighborhoods you live in, usually the curriculum is better. You usually have more hands-on, and you usually have more field trips. The lower income or poverty level areas usually have a very limited curriculum, and there are no field trips. So talking about education, I just want to point out that there is public school and there is private school. There's a difference. And then it's also education, as far as economic division, has a lot to do with the level of education completed by a student. And what am I talking about? Let me try to summarize it here, because I haven't done a wonderful job at all. And what I'm saying is that all of these differences lead to diversity, additional diversity. Some of the diversity that we have in this world we're born into. It's natural. It's incontestable. Other forms of diversity or separation are imposed by men's rules and laws. The purpose of diversity or separation is to keep humanity at odds so they cannot work together. And it is necessary, at least on the part of the leaders, to make sure that happens and continues to happen. Why? Because they need to make sure that we are at odds so we don't realize that they possess, I'm just guessing, 90% of the natural life-sustaining resources of this earth. Good evening. Hi, Cece. How you doing? And so I'm almost done, y'all. This is just a little bit. Again, I'm trying to build to another live stream, but this is some basic information I wanted to get out. As you see, I've created this series. It's called Total Recall. Why am I talking about these various aspects of diversity is because you already know it. You already know it. But I want to remind you, bring it to the forefront of your mind so that you can understand that it is important. Diversity plays a part in your life on an intimate level as well as um, uh, a grand, I'll say a macro level. See everybody talking, they just be throwing me off. Why are y'all making so much noise and I'm live? You say, hello, you're a fun mom. Compliment people want to be at your house. Yeah, but they won't go. And as soon as I put them out, I get mad, I put them out, they come right back like I ain't seeing nothing. The elite hijack our natural progression, yep, which is beyond their limited thinking. They study our emotional needs, then direct and take it. Yeah, so I'm going on because you're hitting right on what I'm talking about. Oh, Vip says, I'm loving all of these videos. Nancy was waiting end of last year for you to come back loud, live, and in color. Well, thank you, Zip. Thank you very much. So it threw me off. Okay, I'm going to talk about two more things that economic division has an impact on, and it's a subcategory under economic division, and it's transportation. Transportation has an impact upon one's ability to commute and the time it takes to commute. Example, public transportation poses limitations, whereas private transportation or owning your own car expands one's outreach. But then there is another issue that exists. Auto insurance, of course, is necessary. Auto insurance prices are usually out of the range for someone living around the poverty level. Another economic division that is occurring that's having an impact on humanity's ability to negotiate and to work together is the sustaining an acceptable credit rating. This one I know personally as well. It's because our structure, man-made structure, entices us. And I say we, I'm talking about the economically challenged, I guess I could say. We are led to believe that we have to have certain things. We have to have a car with a car note. These are the norms of life. This is like in America, this is the American dream. But some people can't afford the American dream. And as a direct result, they spoil their credit rating. While others earn enough to sustain that American dream, and their credit rating rose, giving them additional economic power. And this creates a diversity in society, the building of what? The haves and the have-nots. Remember earlier in this live stream, I said it seems to me that some people, usually people with more money or physical worldly stability and security, many lack empathy and compassion to those living near or around the poverty level. Either they are judgmental due to egotism, or they are judgmental due to misconceptions about the life of a person living around or near the poverty level. So move on. And I want to talk about, I only got one more thing to cover, just giving examples of subcategories that are impacted by economic division, and it is insurance. Insurance, INSURANCES, insurances. Now I want to read what I wrote down. Hopefully it makes sense. It's about insurances. Insurances are a means to guarantee a person or that person's family members do not have losses or suffer losses as the result of unforeseen calamities. Oh, the baby's screaming. Anyway, go back and read again what I have written for insurances. Insurances are a means to guarantee a person or that person's family members do not suffer losses as the result of unforeseen calamities. Why do I bring insurances up as a means to implement diversity? It is because, again, a person living near the poverty level usually have a difficult time paying for anything outside of the necessities to sustain their life from moment to moment. Bottom line. Where a person that is living at least middle class has a little more assets in which they can invest in things such as insurance. Upon the payment of insurance policies, that is money that can either restore your losses or be put away, I'll say, for a rainy day. Either way, it supports financial diversity. And so I'm not going to stop and go on. Oh my God. Oh, okay. Okay. I was like, I only got one more page, y'all. It says, Jordan, you say, it's a shame that so many people are still ignorant to the truth. Right. And that's why I'm talking about this subject matter, because diversity is a part of existing in this physical realm. Diversity exists on a basic level, like it's divinely given, and it has its purpose, I'm sure, divinely. But we can't even get in touch or in tune with that divine reason for diversity because we're dealing with man-made diversity. As I tried to state earlier in this live stream, the elitists, the people with the financial and political and social power, always follow divine law. And they are aware that diversity has a purpose, and diversity is a form of separation or difference. It's possible, well, I'm jumping subjects, the elitists. So they understand that diversity has power. And as I mentioned in another live stream, they take the laws of divinity and they distort them. Then they give it over to the rest of humanity. The subject matter of diversity is no different. That's why I talk about these various worldly constructs. That's why I brought up the more, natural states of diversity. So we can see how man is using both the natural state of diversity as well as created additional states or subcategories of diversity in order to solidify its presence in our life and to assure that, again, that we can never, ever work together. And it's my belief that we take everything for granted. And we take diversity for granted. We don't understand that it has a power. It has a purpose. And I was going to say, before I cut myself off, that it is possible, I'm just reaching, that divine diversity exists because, what is it? Difference is the spice of life, or diversity is the spice of life. To be able to have communion with others that are different in order to, broaden your horizon. And so it would be a positive thing as far as divine diversity. But where man-made diversity exists, I'm about to go here. The root. Man-made diversity, the root. The root of diversity has been made to be competition. Competition is defined by www.dictionary.com as 1, the act of competing, rivalry, for supremacy, a prize, etc. Competition, definition number 2. A contest for some prize, honor, or advantage. Definition number 3 of competition, relative to sociology. Sociology, it fits right here. Because if I'm not mistaken, sociology is the study of societies. So I'm about to read the definition for a competition relative to the branch of knowledge that the elitists are proficient in. And that branch of knowledge is sociology. So that means they have studied us to the point they know how to play us. And what I am suggesting in this live stream, that they are exploiting diversity for the purpose of manipulating us. And so, reading the definition. Rivalry between two or more persons or groups for an object desired in common, usually resulting in a victor and a loser, but not necessarily involving the destruction of the latter. So, I want to read this here. Relative to this live stream topic of exploiting diversity, what is the object desired? Going back to the definition. What is the object desired by the various people of humanity? Well, the answer is all we want are life-sustaining natural resources that offer the sense of physical security while we're in this world. And so, if that's all we want, why then is it this competition? This competition or diversity exists because the majority of humanity only has the potential to access a small portion of the life-sustaining natural resources in this physical world, while the elitists have the majority stored away. And so, due to the elitists exploiting diversity, we are at odds with one another. And you see if you saw the icon, what do you have to call it, the thumbnail for this live stream, it was the cowardly lion. It said, put them up, put them up. MF'er, put them up. That's what we do to each other. I say, put the gloves down. Because now we understand that we are being exploited through a distorted state of diversity. I hope that makes sense. I thank you each for coming here once again to Can Angels Fly Live. Can Angels Fly Tarot Live. Now I'm going to read the chat and see what y'all have to say. I hope I made that live stream make sense. I was just trying to bring awareness to a trick that is being used against us, and it is diversity. Now, the next live stream I go into, I don't know if it's the next one, but soon, I want to talk about, and it's going to be a hot topic, and it's going to be one that is socially charged, because I'm going to be talking about the police, the military, government agencies versus the people. And so I might get in trouble with this one. I don't know how I'm going to go about it. But hopefully I won't be getting harassed by my family and friends and the dogs and the cats and the baby. So what y'all talking about? They call it the American dream because you would have to be asleep to believe in it. It's all a lie. And that's another trick. It's the haves and the have-nots. So there are people that have achieved, quote unquote, the American dream, the dream. And so we, like me, I grew up believing that I could have the American dream, but I didn't know all the obstacles or that the odds were stacked against me. I didn't know that our government performed different things and did different things. And so I'm a little more liberal and a bit biased due from my experiences, personal experiences. And so I'm interested in people at this point in time, awakening to the realities of this world, because I don't believe it's possible that we can work together, that we can put the gloves down and not challenge each other, because we're so desperate to be okay in this physical world, if we don't understand that it's not so much the next person or the next race or the next culture or whatever it is. There are people with a special interest, greed. I don't know, because that's some sick stuff. If this is all about greed, that there are people starving in the world, something's wrong with that. And I often think and I wonder and I ponder, my new word, about, are some of these elitists like sociopaths? I'm sure they are, because they don't deal with money. They deal with natural resources. They have their day to spend as they like. And when I say they have their days to spend as they like, they follow their passions. Like I'm sitting here, I love to do the research and study and to see. But I'm challenged in doing it because it's always a bill, it's always a that. But they don't have that urge or that threat against their life. They get the best medical, they got the best this, they just have it. They're not paying for it, it's just theirs, because they realize that, hello Nancy, what up Nancy? Nancy with a Y, that again, all things were granted to us in this physical world for when we're here, for an appointed time, and we can access them. And again, they hijacked it all, and it's been going on for hundreds of years, I do believe, and I think that the majority of humanity works on short-term planning, where the elitists work on like decades. They plan by decades and things like that. And so they stay far ahead of us. And then many of them are, again, they're born into the ability to follow their interests. And so and then it's always, you always hear me talk about it, it's always cataloged. So they don't have to go start from square one. They already know certain things. And so they get to pick up and build upon it. Where when many humans, like myself, come out of the womb, we don't know nothing. All our parents know is to go to work and try to make ends meet, try to keep the lights on, those kind of things, try to feed the family. But they don't have that. And so the people of the world, humanity, I think we're so confused. I think we've been spun around so long and so much, generation after generation. We are absolutely confused. And due to that confusion, we fall to the illusion. We fall to the illusion. So that's why I do what I do on my channel, is to break down the parts of the illusion that I've seen. Not because it's not until we can see the illusion and understand what's taking place that we can possibly come up with an answer about what we can do. Now, I personally don't believe that we can do anything to change the whole, I'll say, construct now, for the better. immediately. I think just like the elitists, how they had to work 50 years, 100 years, at a time, we too, humanity, has to work at those intervals. So it's about what we do today, what will be 50 years from now or 100 years from now. And the thing that keeps me motivated is the thought that I might die here and incarnate 50 years or 100 years from now. And I don't want to come back at a time that things are much more off balance. And so when I deal with the astrological energies, it seems like it's foretelling of a time in which we are moving into the residual effects of past life experiences. And so it is projected that we're going to have somewhat of an unbalanced experience. And when I say unbalanced, I'm talking about out of balance with nature, divine law, out of balance, and we see a lot of that. And there's going to be a lot of imbalances as far as, again, economics. It's going to keep growing because the one thing I think is going to die out are money. I think it's going to die out. We talked about cryptocurrency yesterday, imaginary, just to in the imaginary money, the cryptocurrency will only be there to keep the minds of the people captivated, so that we can't understand, come to understand and see that, again, we all have our portion here on this earth. But some special folks, some elitists, have hijacked it all. And then put us under these various illusions of mind control. So here's my, I can go up here. So y'all know I go back after the live stream, after it get through loading or whatever it do, and then I read y'all comments. And some of y'all be having me cracking up. I be like, oh, they saying that? I missed that. They really shouldn't be given such a pretty name as elite. Well, look, I feel you, but look, they are fly, knowledgeable. They show enough manipulative, so I guess they gotta have a little something else, something. Their name should be Satan based on behavior description. And I'm not being dramatic, more like accurate. You know what? Very true, because it was something we just said. Their name should be Satan. Oh, I was going to say something about the elitists and how, like, many of us are, I'll say, we have the state of desperation relative to money. Why we need to have this desperation for money, because we know it can buy us into the things that we want, that, again, satisfies our physical, worldly wants, needs, and desires. It can help us sustain our lives. So we have this desperation, whether it's spoken or unspoken, about money, where the elitists or the Satans don't have that desperation. They are accessing, once again, the natural resources of this earth. And so there's no limit to what they have access to. And as a result, I think, just like when I was saying that people that are rich, when I was talking about the economic division that exists on a more basic level, as far as a 4-family home earning $24,000 versus a 4-family home earning $125,000, is that even them, the $24,000 and the $125,000, still have this desperation about money. But the elitists don't have that. Now, with the elitist, how do I say it? The family of 4 that has a total household income of approximately $125,000 per year. Remember, I was saying that it seems to me that many of them have, they lack empathy and or compassion for those that are living near or around the poverty level. And those people that are living near and around the poverty level, inability to sustain the American dream. These people that compose, we'll say, the middle class, are judgmental of such people. Why? I was saying, I believe it's due to egotism, or it is due to misconceptions associated with those living near the poverty level. So that lack of empathy and what's the word to use? Empathy and compassion is something that the elite have as well, except for it's magnified. It's magnified. Because remember, they don't have no fear about money because they don't work with money. They really don't have no fear about death. They got the best medicine, the best science, and they may possibly know more about existence and death than the rest of humanity does. So they may not even worry about it, you know. But when you get to that level, remember I always talk about these spirits that walk into people. Yesterday, I was talking about the spirit that possesses a person's body, and the portal is opened up when a person suffers hunger to the extent of moving towards starvation, towards death. There's a spirit that invades the body and takes a person on that progression through that process. Well, those elitists, I do believe, based on my experiences, also are invaded. Everybody, anybody can be invaded by one of these, I'll say, spiritual entities. I talked about it in a live stream not too long ago called Obsession, where I talked about the Queen of England's possessing spirits that she shares openly that we are missing. And so I'm digress from that. But these elitists also get possessed. And the spirits that possess them are more hungry, they want to devour more. And so what they may have a taste for, talking about the spirits that dwell within the elitist, is seeing like a child in Africa dying of malnutrition. That may get them off, that spirit that dwells within them. So any form of deprivation or decay of another is something that satisfies the spirit or the demon within the elitist. See, it's a lot of stuff we're missing here. Jordan, you said earlier how religion is fake and spirituality is real. It is. But how many religions did I share today? There were. I know I done stated it before, but I went back and I was like, dang, was it that many when I said it? It was, that's the languages. Many religions. 4,200 religions worldwide. 4,200 religions worldwide. 4,200 religions worldwide. So each religion that I know of, I don't know about all 4,200, but the ones I know about, they do talk about spirits and things like that and demons, but it never makes sense. At least it never made sense to me when I was in church and I did visit various doctrines. They call it doctrines, religions. And they talked about it, but they didn't make it make sense. And so I didn't come to understand like spirits until, like I tell y'all, I testify, divinity walk and talk with me, talk with angels, talk with demons, all those things. Until I'll say divine trained me by introducing, I got something, I just thought about it. Introduced me to some of these various beings or spirits or demons. And I said, because in the Bible it talked about, what's her name was? Esau, I think, was the one that angels came and walked him through. I got to go back and read that. Walked him through heaven or something. Well, I know he ascended to meet heavenly beings. It's something like, now that I'm really thinking now, because it's something like that. you you can be introduced to them, and it's not about, I don't even think it's about requesting anything, because I haven't requested anything. It's about if you're ready. That if you're ready, and if you've been called to know, know. And then I think you have to be willing to be aware. We talk about it all the time here, where people aren't willing to be aware, or they won't acknowledge what they experience. How, like, I'm here saying that somebody might come. I talked about the putting a little white jacket on me yesterday, or anybody that speaks about things that aren't deemed normal. But how can you grow spiritually? And what I'm talking about is how religion is false, spirituality is real. Spirituality was taken from us, and religion was given to us. We're at a time where I think religion is fading out and spirituality is returning. And so it's going to be difficult, I do believe, because so many people are under the illusion. One of the sources of illusion are religion. But it's hard to let go of something that you've had so much faith in for so doggone long, even if you didn't see no power. And it wasn't as difficult for me. I did suffer my challenges with the transition from religion to spirituality. But I think I know I was always spiritual, because I was always walking and talking with, and hearing from things. But it's like this acceptance that, like, for instance, religion did not have power. I talk about that. When I was in the church, people weren't getting healed. Were some people healing? Yes, but not all people were healing. If it's healing, it's healing. Healing is for all, not just one. Or talking in tongues. Were the people talking in tongues? I don't think so. Maybe a few, but I don't think so. So all of those spiritual gifts we've heard about, the different tales we've heard from various religious sectors, I don't think we witnessed the power there. But what I'm saying, as I, ramble on, is that I have experienced some form of power in being obedient to my path in the spirit. And I share in detail. If you really listen to me in all the videos I made, I share and I tell you exactly how I was and how I experienced it. And as you can see, I ain't no different. I be out here on YouTube, people talking about, you got to eat better. Yeah, you should. But it don't stop you from having spiritual experience, because spiritual is real and it's about my soul. It ain't about my little fat body. It's about my soul. My fat body go to this physical world. And so I can slim it down and hopefully live longer or be healthier or be more appealing. But that ain't got nothing to do. I can't say it don't completely have nothing to do with spiritual things. I don't know if it made that make sense. What y'all talking about? Because I just been talking. They really shouldn't be given. Okay, I read that. The illusion of competition. That's just manipulation of our natural desire to challenge ourselves. Right, challenging self can be accomplished, climbing a hill, etc. Thanks for lecture. You're welcome. Oh Lord, I'm lecturing now. I did some. Where is that thing at? Yeah, and that's it. Because when talking about competition again, oh man, I get lost. That is part of the root chakra. The root chakra is about survival. That kind of thing. So, and whole point, the root chakra, like you said, can be satisfied in other ways, rather than being at odds with each other and not being able to work together in order, figure some stuff out. LOL, you're playing. Okay. Where is that? Where was I at? This bar is acting crazy again. Everything is wrong with that. Keep up this brilliant work. Everything is wrong with that. Keep up this brilliant work. Thank you. You're welcome, Nancy. And thanks for dropping back, because I hadn't seen you in a minute. and they are trying to turn us all into middle psychopaths. Just walk the middle line. No, how do you keep celebrating holidays, spending all that money while people sleep on streets? Check out Mark Picasso's lecture on stealing. Oh, okay, thank you, Mark Picasso. Seems like I've seen that name before. Artist Picasso. Mark Picasso. Okay. But yeah, that's something. Holidays is something else. And so that is another thing, because based on our religion, we have our various, or nationalities, we have our various rituals and things that we are into. Some of them are, I guess, we're executing our belief, testing it, seeing if it's real. I don't know. But a lot of what we do, like as far as Christmas, is I feel like, let's say a person lives an average, I'm going to say, of 90 years now. Well, you got to do something in them 90 years, and Christmas is one of them. You just make up stuff to fill the time, because it's not like it was back in the day when we had to go out and cut wood and do this and mend our own shoes. We got a lot of free time, so we do things. Now, I do think it's insane to spend a large amount of cash on gifts, but to buy basic things like little socks, things that are practical that people need, yeah, fine. Make a meal, take the time to sit down as a family, to talk, to commune, if you don't. But all of that big money and gifts having to pour out all under the tree, and that's a bit too much just to be filling some time. Like you said, while there are people starving all out on the street. Now, that's some deep stuff. Jordan says, the holidays have become a commercialized, taking away the true meaning of it. Yeah. Hello, how you doing, Lulu? I'm just getting down there to you. You might have been left by now. Feel your spirit, sister, yes. Yoni, I think our physicality can affect our spirit experience. I do too. Our bodies can limit us or take us many places. It can. Like I said, I think that the physical body has a direct connection to the spirit, in the sense of you can feel in this physical body, you got the five senses. So you can feel heaven or you can feel hell. And I'm saying heaven as in a feeling or a sensation, or a passion. And hell is also a feeling, a sensation, or a passion. And I think that passion has an impact upon the soul. Heaven states uplift the soul, and I think more hellish-like states suppress the soul. Other things like what would be hatred, is a passion, and disdain, anything that goes with hatred, also is so powerful that it impacts the soul, and it can make it dark. Or if you're, compassionate, I'll say is the word, or loving is another energy or frequency, and it has an impact upon the soul, and it can make it light and it can free it. That's how I feel like the physical body works with spirit. His name is pronounced Passio. I think you talked about that person before. I might have Googled him before. I may have Googled him before, but I'm going to check him back out, Passio, because I knew I had seen that name. Okay, I'll check him out again. Well, y'all, thank y'all for coming here to Can Angels Fly. I'm about to retire for the night. Oh, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I didn't know that. Well, I'm a night dweller anyway. So tonight I'm going to retire a little early. Y'all have a great night. Bye. And you did? Okay, you did. I thought so. My memory ain't gone yet. Y'all, I'm hanging on in here. See y'all next time. Bye-bye.